For some reason, once again, we find ourselves on the map Heartlet. It kind of seems that Heartlet is kind of... What are we doing? Oh, it's kind of become the Gresven, I guess, of the new StarCraft 2 map pool. What I've got for you today is the ESL Open Cup 196 Korea Finals that was played, well, as of me casting it, literally yesterday. So, spotting right here in the top left-hand corner in game number 1 on a map called Heartlet. Having to deal right here with a cheeky little engineering bay in his natural expansion. We're looking inside of the main base of hero. I think eventually, especially with the Zealot coming out, he will be able to take that expansion pretty easily. And I'll let you guess for a little bit, if you haven't read the title, who his opponent is gonna be. Think of annoying Korean Terran players. Spotting right here in the opposite corner. Of course, that means we have none other than ByuN. Of course, it could only be ByuN. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of Terran players love building NG bays in the opponent's natural, but I think ByuN has a very particular liking to it. This man enjoys being as obnoxious as he possibly can, and a lot of Terran players enjoy being obnoxious on the ladder. The big difference is that ByuN is actually incredibly good at the game when it comes to playing a macro match. A lot of players usually will do openers like this just because they've got a very particular follow-up planned as well, and they're gonna try and see if they can obtain an easy victory. Not really the case right here for ByuN. ByuN can do, well, any style of Terran, but of course he generally does lean towards that infantry-based army, especially in this matchup. That being said, this is of course the new balance patch. Why are we going? Okay, I was gonna say only for a single Hellion there. We're gonna start up a second one here eventually too. I don't know if we're gonna see any Cyclones, but it would be kind of nice to see. But there's really no way in my mind that, well, first and foremost, there's really no way in my mind that we're gonna see any sort of battle mech in this matchup in the first place. But secondly, especially not from ByuN. It just doesn't really seem like his play style. It's kind of like watching, I don't know, Klim play Terran mech. It just seems a little bit wrong. It's still ironic to me that the most standard Protoss opener, especially from the top tier Protosses, like for example Hero and Max Specs, so the Blink Stalker opener, it's so funny to me how that seems to shut down basically all Cyclone play in this matchup. Wasn't that the whole intention of the new patch? Hey look, we do see a Cyclone, but I think wait, he still added a tech lab to it. ByuN, what are we doing? You don't need that anymore. Anyways, one of the intentions of the new multiplayer balance patch was to make Battle Mech viable against Protoss, and it seems that the most commonly played Protoss opener is very good against Cyclone-based styles. Okay, so we're gonna go for a tech lab on the factory, only to then produce a Cyclone into a siege tank. So just to clarify, you no longer need the tech lab right here to go for the Cyclone, but I guess old habits sometimes die, well, slowly, fast, hard. What's the saying? Old habits die. I gotta look this up. Hard. Old habits die hard. It is both a saying as well as a store in Amsterdam, a fashion label, producing a wide range of hats. Okay, not sponsored, but if they want to give me a hat, I could use something to cover that forehead of mine. I'm not gonna. Anyways, what do we have over here? We've got ourselves a proxy pylon on the other side of the map. There is a Twilight Council coming up, but this is a triple gateway start right here from Hero. Does he have enough stuff to just simply go ahead and overwhelm his opponent at this stage in the game? Obviously, Cyclones are really quite nice when it comes to that base defense. They used to be even nicer when it comes to that base defense, but they're certainly not a bad tool here to have at your disposal. Second siege tank coming up, very important. And he is gonna try and see if he can get some damage in, but yeah, I think this is mostly just Hero saying, yo, I'm gonna park my units on your side of the map. Hellions over here getting a bit of work done too. Getting a nice little scout in, maybe? Nah, not gonna happen, but... Anyways, I think this is mostly just Hero saying, okay, I am gonna hang out on your side of the map, snipe whatever I can, and then you... Oh, look at this bad boy over here, driving backwards. What a legend. You can... Is he still locked onto that adept from here? I think he might just be. Look at this guy. Yeah, he's still locked on. There you go. Ooh, he was fast, though. He was snapping back to attention there. Yeah, you're not gonna win that fight with a single Stalker, but a second Stalker would certainly be able to pick off this Cyclone over here. Anyways, yeah, eventually the Blink upgrade is gonna finish up, but by the time the Blink finishes, we're gonna see Stimpack and Combat Shields and all the rest of it too. So this Terran army is gonna get a little bit of a damage boost. Hero's still with a few probes out on the map. I'm assuming that's a mistake. But yeah, at the same time, we see ByuN with a bunch of his SCVs out on the map too. I think ByuN is looking at this triple gate opener. He's like, yo, bro, you've gotten 0 damage done with it. As a matter of fact, you gave me an Adept, or three apparently total, and then also a Stalker. Not bad whatsoever. What about I just hit you in the face with a whole load of units? Problem is that there is still, yeah, quite a few Terran units at home. He's gonna see it right now. hero is just about ready to blink into the opponent's main base. This is about to become a very awkward game. Keep in mind that in order to go for any additional Stalkers, you do need to have a Cybernetics core. So, yeah, okay, we're gonna recall these Stalkers over here. They're gonna go back home. In the meantime, a lot of the infrastructure over here has already been destroyed. It looks like ByuN just simply has way too much stuff available. Nice repair there as well by the SCVs on that one siege tank. And eventually, it's the Terran who obtains the victory. Hecate is gonna be game number 2. Not a map I've actually casted that many games on so far. For some reason, it doesn't seem like this is as popular a map as, for example, Hard-Lit. My assumption is because of the, yeah, it's gotta be because of the map name. Hecate is absolutely one of the worst map names in the history of StarCraft 2. There, I said it. Maybe that's a controversial opinion, I don't know. So I thought this was pronounced Hecate or Hecate or something like that, but apparently it's Hecate, which I think is the goddess of like 17 different things in Greek mythology. Yeah, I looked it up at some point. I don't know why. I don't know why we're naming our maps after. Like, for example, Jagannatha had the same thing going on too. I really don't think we should be naming StarCraft maps after anything religious, really. Just seems like a bad idea. Feel like this may set precedent for some interesting map names in the future too. You can come up with your own suggestions if you want to. I found out, by the way, that apparently AI is really good at generating StarCraft 2 map names. So if you are a map maker out there, just ask Bing or ChatGPT or whatever for a map suggestion. And it'll come up with a lot of good ones. You can give a little description of your map. It'll give you, yeah, one of the few uses of AI that I actually think is very helpful for StarCraft 2. Other than, of course, the Google DeepMind project. That was pretty sick. I'm actually a little disappointed we don't see that one anymore. I think if Google DeepMind was still going on right now, it would be really awesome to see what strategies it would play. Because when you think about it, if you can have an AI play, I mean, thousands upon thousands of games on the day that a new patch goes live, I think it would really help out pro players come up with new strategies and smooth build orders a little bit quicker as well. Maybe it would actually ruin some of the fun, now that I'm saying that out loud. Yeah, you know what? Part, of course, of the beauty of StarCraft is people coming up with their own strategies and experimenting with stuff and seeing what works and what doesn't. Like, for example, this 7 Marine drop. How do we feel about this 7 Marine drop into a Raven? And I think we already... Didn't we have Cyclones? Yeah, I was gonna say, they're just driving across the map. Now, it turns out Adepts are not gonna be a bad idea here, but that ByuN is gonna be in some trouble at the very least. Where's the Oracle? Okay, the 2 Oracles right now on the other side of the map. Completely exposed base. At the same time, though, we do have those Adepts also taking a beating at home. The thing is, yeah, this is much easier, of course, here for the Protoss. He's even gonna start working on those Marines one at a time. Can we at least micro a little bit? I think he would have been better off not microing there, actually. That was almost a disaster. Auto turret will probably finish the job, but that's a load of SCVs and Marines going down. Oh my god, okay, he decided to commit there. Hero, alright. I think he must have also been a little busy here microing against what seemed to be dead Cyclones there, as I saw a couple of wheels disappear into the ground. In the end, though, yeah, that's 2 of those guys with wheels, 9 Marines and 14 SCVs going down. I mean, if you're hoping for a flying start as Protoss, this is it. Really doesn't get a whole lot better than losing, well, as a Terran at the very least, in favor of Protoss. For Terran to lose this many units, that is a lot. Now, of course, as we have found out over the years, in this matchup, if Protoss loses this many workers, it's game over. If Terran, however, loses this many workers, it's still playable. It's manageable, right? Like, imagine Protoss losing 14 probes at this point. Yeah, no. Imagine a Widowmine killing 8 workers at this stage in the game. That is basically GG. Honestly, that I feel like is where a lot of the frustrations in Protoss versus Terran come from. When Protoss plays a perfect early game, the game is pretty even. When they lose a couple workers, however, or a few units here and there, it's basically GG. However, if Terran ends up losing a bunch of their stuff, I mean, they're still sitting there behind their nice little wall with a bunch of siege tanks and stuff. Obtaining the victory is really tricky, especially with these Phoenix follow-ups. Now, of course, the Phoenixes are awesome because, well, they can lift up units and gain a lot of value over time. There you go. But they're not so great when it comes to just straight up winning the game. Keep in mind, by the way, yeah, that Raven we had earlier, so the Raven apparently already got destroyed. That Raven, not nearly as helpful a unit anymore as it once used to be, so that's one of the advantages, I guess, for Protoss with the new multiplayer balance patch. This was actually, I think, the very... Ooh, what is this? We already have +1 air weapons coming up. herO's still doubling down, by the way, on the Phoenix production. I haven't really seen Terrans go for any sort of Raven openers anymore at all, because you now need to research the interference matrix ability. This seems very risky, by the way, here for herO. Maybe he's thinking, okay, I'm a little bit ahead here, I'm feeling pretty good. I guess I can smash some of my money on getting a +1 air weapons upgrade for my Phoenixes. I'm just wondering if it's gonna stay to just Phoenix production. If he's just gonna keep to just... I think so, actually. It's just a funny upgrade to get at this point in the game, but not bad whatsoever, of course. These Phoenixes will benefit from it, and they will certainly pack a punch. It's just that if, say, for example, a few Widow Mines connect right, you may end up losing all of your Phoenixes and get very little value out of all of that investment. In the meantime, by the way, we did have Charge finish up as well on the other side of the map, and herO can start bringing quite a bit of units out to the battlefield if he wants to. Widow Mine over here, but there's 2 of them. That's what I'm talking about, man. There's 2 of them just sitting over there, out of line of sight, behind the refinery. Lovely play right there by ByuN. This seems like a risky decision to make, and now he's forced to go back into that Phoenix production. Zealots and Phoenixes. Always reminds me of that Brood War strategy where people would go like Corsair Zealot or Corsair Dark Templar back in the day. The idea being that you would kill all of your opponent's detection and then suddenly your ground army can absolutely overwhelm. It's just that Marine Marauder Medevac Mine, so the units that Terrans will usually make regardless of what they're doing, are gonna be absolutely awesome against these sort of unit compositions, right? Assuming you don't die against the initial influx of Zealots, it's gonna be pretty manageable. Now finally double Robo coming up on the back of this here too for herO, but he decides to just engage here. A couple good force fields though, slicing that Terran army up against the wall, but in the end, good pickup control there as well by ByuN. And what looked like a pretty stellar engagement and fight right there for herO really does get shut down pretty hard. Now, the main advantage, of course, here for our Protoss is that he's effectively trying to win this game by zerging the Terran. So we're calling this, yeah, 82 workers here versus only 49, well, now 51 SCVs. Ghost Academy, however, is coming up. ByuN is trying to see if he eventually can secure another base here as well. I don't think that would be a bad situation for him. A couple more Phoenixes apparently popped here too. herO is basically just trying to win this game by throwing as much stuff as a wall as at a wall as possible, and then hoping that at some point ByuN will fall over and die. It's a bold move. Will it pay off? I'm not convinced. We see this go wrong so many times. Top level Terrans are very good when it comes to microing their bio army, and this is, don't get me wrong, still an overwhelming advantage here for herO. But there's not a whole lot of sophistication in his unit composition. So, Robo Bay is gonna finish up. Ghosts are coming up as well. Are we gonna go into Disruptors? No, it's gonna be Colossi together with extended thermal lens. Okay. Disruptors, of course, did get a bit of a nerf. We'll have to see, we haven't really seen that much mass disruptor production. It's still certainly a viable strategy. It's just gonna be a little bit more expensive in the supply cost, I suppose, right? So you max out a little bit faster with it, and the unit overall has a little bit of a radius reduction too. Anyhow, Colossi, definitely a stellar choice, but as long as the army is Marauder heavy and maybe a bunch of Ghosts in the mix too, Colossi alone are really not gonna be that amazing of a unit. And suddenly we're forced to now play a bit of a macro game. Anyways, herO's still sitting at 89 workers, taking as many gases as he would like to, but previously Terran was stuck on just 2 bases, and now ByuN has secured a 3rd. I think what ByuN is trying to do here is just max out. If he can max out, he's gonna have a really nice force. Fleet beacon coming up. Yeah, will his units be strong enough to just simply straight up overwhelm the Protoss? I'm not so sure. But it's very tricky for Protoss in this matchup to close it out, right? So even though he's had an overwhelming advantage, he's still walking on a very tight rope, and you can plummet down on accident really quite easily. So we're adding on Disruptors, Colossi, we have a War Prism, additional upgrades coming up. Fleet Beacon and a Robo right next to each other. We're gonna go for the Gravitic Drive upgrade here too. Not a bad call. But ByuN trying his best to turtle up as hard as he can. Now obviously turtling generally goes better the longer that a map has been around for. Because these maps are still relatively new, I can imagine there's still some min-maxing here that can be done by the Terran player. Zealots over there get cleaned up. Nice fight right here by ByuN actually, man. All things considered, so dangerous. These Colossi are firing at the wrong units. Massive EMP as well, shutting down a lot of that Zealot shields, but also getting rid of all of the energy out of those Phoenixes. Eventually, though, the command center goes down. Ooh, that's what we got the... I was wondering what the fleet beacon was for, because we didn't add on any additional Stargates. We're rushing out a Mothership. And by the way, just to clarify, I don't blame ByuN at all for blaming or for playing this playstyle. I think what he's doing is very clever. He was simply behind and he found himself in a situation where his only way to win, really, was if the opponent messed up. And he decided to play a game where his opponent had more chances than in some others. Yeah, he decided to give his opponent as many opportunities as possible to mess up, right? And this is still just one disaster from Protoss away from being a Terran victory. Not complaining about the playstyle here that ByuN plays. I am just explaining the frustration that a lot of Protoss players are feeling about this particular matchup. Generally, I don't really talk about balance very much. I feel like I've been talking about balance a lot over the last couple of weeks, but it's because of the new patch and everything, right? It was supposed to be a little bit easier for Protoss, and I really do believe it is, ever so slightly, but it is not straightforward. Okay, so, Mama's out. Mama! No more cloaking. She does not cloak anymore, unless you activate the ability. She's also a little bit smaller. Some people have dubbed it the stepmother ship. Yeah, I don't know about that one, but it can offensively recall units if it wants to. Interesting comp, would you look at that? Bunch of zealots together with a mama ship moving around. The rest of the Protoss army in the meantime is on the other side of the map. I was gonna say, Mama, I don't think that's where you want to go. These zealots got absolutely destroyed. And now finally that proxy gateway that's been here for ages gets found as well. Golden minerals here, mixed in together with blue minerals being acquired as well on the other side of the map. Dark Shrine coming up. Okay. Not bad. Yeah, the reason why these games end up happening like this, right, is just, oh, we have a, really, that's what we're gonna do. A full recall over here towards the mama ship. Lovely play right here by Mr. Hero. Really cool. Suddenly, that entire Protoss army appeared over at the bottom of the map. Does he have enough, though, to shut down this Terran army? There's obviously a defender's advantage right here. All of the abilities of the mama ship have now effectively been used. Did we use the cloaking as well? Maybe we could have used that one too. He may not have set up a hotkey for it. Oh my lord. Okay, well, there in the end. The Terran's units spawning closer to the fight ended up helping him out in that battle. ByuN decides to tap out despite winning that fight because there really isn't any staying power in the game for him anymore. herO's 90 pros are still giving him a tremendous amount of income and he's just gonna be able to remax. But ByuN still made that look like it was a pretty close game. Site Delta is gonna be game number 3. ByuN decided to rush an SCV towards the other side of the map to build an engineering bay here, but that is gonna get shut down, and we should see a Nexus here at a pretty normal timing. Yep, a little bit after that cybernetics core, and in the meantime, okay. Excuse me, we're also gonna go for a command center over here at home. Now, of course, People have made many balance suggestions, right? To prevent games like that from really being possible. And feel free to discuss it down below in the comment section of this video too, assuming it can be at least done in a somewhat organized manner, right? I always see a lot of name calling and people getting very passionate about it, which may not necessarily be a bad thing, especially because, well, if people are passionate, they mean it means that they care, right? It means that they care about the game and what they're talking about. But if you could help prevent some of the finger pointing that seems to happen in these sort of discussions, that would be pretty neat. Anyways, people have discussed updates that would prevent these sorts of games from happening, because Protoss was effectively ahead right there ever since like the 4-minute mark, but Terran still managed to drag out the game for a whole lot longer. First off, is that really a problem? Not necessarily, but for lower level Protosses, aka everybody below herO's skill level, so basically everyone, it's very tricky for players at that level to not mess up. It's very difficult for Protoss players to micro their late game army as well as they do their early game army, right? And yeah, having a hard time to close out a game in the mid game when Terran's turtling up can be a bit tricky. Now, a lot of people have, for example, suggested making updates to the core Protoss units, because Stalkers and Zealots are not nearly as powerful as Marines and Marauders. I think that much is pretty clear. The problem is when you adjust any of those core units, you're gonna adjust the Zerg matchups too, right? And that's where the game gets so much more complex. Say, for example, you want to give that impact damage back to the Zealot's charge. That's something a lot of people have suggested. Sure, would be cool for this matchup, I think, but I think it would be pretty bad against Zerg. I don't think a lot of people would think that that would be a good change for the Protoss versus Zerg matchup. That's one of the reasons actually why I'm kind of glad that StarCraft 2 only has 3 races. Obviously in Warcraft 3, there are 4 factions that you can play. And you can imagine that the complexity of balancing the game for every matchup is incredibly hard. So, yeah, as far as future RTS games go, I think the majority, at least the Blizzard-style RTSs, they should stick to just 3 races or factions or whatever you want to call them. Because any more than that, and it really does get a little bit chaotic. Now, I may disagree at some point in the future. I mean, on the flip side, you have games like Age of Empires, where I think they're adding... Like, how many new factions are they adding with the new DLC? I don't know. They're adding a whole lot of new stuff, which is pretty awesome. Anyhow, what exactly has ByuN decided to go for? Well, the classical opener. This is a triple Rex. Triple Rex, triple CC here at the end, and then eventually a factory as well. He's just decided to make an awful lot of units, and now he's sending them across the map. hero, however, did decide to go for a quick hallucination here, rushing out a couple of those sentries. 3 of them apparently in total even. And that's gonna allow him a lot of vision, so he should be able to buy some time with some good force fields here on the ramp. It's gonna be difficult, I think, for ByuN to really get much done with this army of his. Yeah, so that's why he decided to go for a 3rd command center so quickly. Could have added on more production. Oh, alright. A fake Void Ray. Look at ByuN getting excited. Now he must realize, okay, I dealt way too much damage. That thing is fake. Blink is gonna finish up in a moment. 1-1 upgrades coming up here as well for Mr. hero. He's gonna be sending that prism towards the other side of the map, fair enough. I can imagine that ByuN is gonna need to make his way back home. There's really no way he's gonna be able to get into the natural expansion, assuming those force fields are on point, and that means that hero can start putting in a lot of work on the other side of the map. ByuN does see this. Yep, and these are units that can pack a punch. We can pick up the weakened units as well inside of the prism, just trying to soften up these bio units for as long as possible. And obviously with a start like this, not only is your factory gonna be late, but naturally your starport will also be quite a bit later. And therefore, of course, we're not really gonna see any healing on those Marines for quite a while. hero very good when it comes to microing these armies. Alright. One problem right here for hero though is that he hasn't seen the 3rd command center. I think he could have put on some work over here and maybe even prevented it from finishing. That would have been massive, but at this point it's already done, and obviously command centers can fly. Okay. Ooh, don't lose the prism. We end up being okay. In the meantime, external lens. Charge. +1/+1 is going to finish. Supply block. We do a little bit of everything. No 3rd Nexus yet though. That means, especially now with the additional gateway production, we're going up to 6 gates here. No, we have even more. I was gonna say, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're gonna go up to 8 gateways here. That's good. That means that Mr. hero is going for what is effectively going to be an all-in. The question is, will he be able to break ByuN? ByuN's early game really didn't get a whole lot done, but he still has a solid economy. I mean, are you gonna expand now? Really? I think hero may have misread this. Yeah, he's now going to finally see this 3rd command center, and he will probably have his heart sink a little bit. I think he actually didn't plan to go for an all-in. He just simply didn't know what the opponent was doing, so he didn't see a 3rd command center from ByuN here, and he's like, okay, if he's not going for a 3rd CC, I also should not be going for a 3rd base of my own, I don't think. I'll just be adding on a ton of production instead. And now he finds himself at an economical disadvantage. It's gonna be tricky here. Right away, the Ghost Academy coming up. Fantastic unit, of course. Maybe the EMP radius is not as big as it once used to be, but seemed to me like, at least in the previous couple games that we've seen, that those ghosts are still pretty handy. Softening up those shields. Making sure that you, yeah, prevent the opponent from going into any sort of Templar play effectively, right? So Templar and Archons really feel off limits here, which, yeah, is not ideal. Those are very powerful units. Proxy Gateway on the other side of the map right now. Uphill battle this time around for hero. Yep. So, similar unit compositions on both sides of the map, as we saw in the previous game. Just a lot less economy for the Protoss and a lot more for the Terran. And we saw how close game number 2 between these two still became, despite the fact that ByuN was up with his back against the wall since like minute 4. I've got a feeling that this is gonna be really, really, really risky. Now, ByuN doesn't need to play this defensively. He decides to go for a 4th command center, rather than going for a big attack. Oh, he's gonna do a little bit of both. Okay, fair. 2nd entry bay coming up, armory coming up as well. I mean, one big zealot warp in at the bottom of the map, maybe forcing the council on this command center, would be really nice to see. There's a marine walking around here looking for any proxies, but he hasn't found it just yet, and it looks like this bad boy is actually going to be marching back home too. So nice scouting right there by ByuN, trying to figure out what's happening. Disruptor, Purification Nova coming in. Not quite in range right there of that siege tank. Yeah, it's a scary Protoss army still though. Maybe not quite as powerful as this Terran army, but the Terran is having a very tricky time getting in the right position. And one really nice advantage here that hero has got is that he started up those upgrades of his so early that now, not even 10 minutes into the game, he's already firing up the 3-3 research at the same time as ByuN is starting up 2-2. So that is a significant difference when it comes to the timing of those upgrades. Okay. So maybe there's still something hero can do. I wonder if he will once again mix in the Mama ship. Do you think that was mostly just some frivolous spending in the previous game? Like he just had his, like, I don't know, his holiday pay or something? Christmas is around the corner, he just got his extra money for the holidays. He's like, you know what, I guess this game has been going so smooth for me. My opponent is not leaving the game. I guess I'll get a Mama ship. Or do you think it's actually part of his core unit composition? I don't know, guys. I think we would be seeing a Mama... or not a Mama. Mama! We would be seeing a fleet beacon here right around this time. I think it would be nice. Robo facilities. Producing more and more disruptors. So I was talking about it earlier. We haven't seen that much mass disruptor play, but 7 disruptors is certainly not bad. Hero trying to rely on those upgrades of his, I think. Yeah. Okay. So, hero has been working on a death ball for some time, and he got there. This is a very scary army. Planetary Fortress over here is real nice, though. ByuN's still certainly at a lead, don't get me wrong. If you look at the banks, maybe you wouldn't really say it's that significant, but other than the upgrades, hero doesn't really have that much going for him, and if he can kill this base, that would be massive. Planetary Fortress here is really nice for ByuN. The Sim City and the choke point, oh, it's gonna work out wonders for him. This Nexus somehow finished, even though ByuN had vision of it. I think he wanted to chase the prism here and a couple of zealots that were produced by it. There's the fusion core as well. Zealots over here Okay, and did sneak away. He could have easily killed this Nexus, but now hero at the very least does have a 4th base done. I don't think you can fight into this choke point, can you? I mean, he's gonna try. Yeah, maybe you can, actually. It's such a weird angle, though. Into the choke point, into the planetary fortress, into the siege dump tanks. Even ByuN was like, bro, I don't think you should be doing that. Yeah, this base seems a little bit more accessible. Maybe even a natural expansion, like moving through the center here, would not be a terrible idea. Okay, well, this is the moment, I was gonna say, where we're gonna need those disruptors to prevent the Terran from simply chasing this Protoss army down. The tower ends up going down as well. And now the Liberator transition has begun. This is why the Tempest recently got buffed, to try and help out against this sort of transition. But if hero has any say in the matter, he's gonna stick around on this unit composition. Some really nice disruptor hits there by our Protoss. Not bad whatsoever. His economy, though, is still nothing to write home about. And there's still so many command centers here for ByuN. Still, ByuN needs to push back this army, and so far he's not getting it done. That Liberator transition is decent, but he doesn't have enough yet. He doesn't have that critical mass. There's a moment where the Disruptors and Colossi and Stalkers get nothing done anymore, but we're not quite there yet. Reinforcing biological units, though, popping out of those production structures as well. And Disruptors and Colossi are starting to fall. That was a very expensive set of units to lose right there for ByuN. But yeah, ByuN is still upgrading, right? He's still, well, getting more and more economy. He should really finish up this command center. I don't think he realized that the SCV died there a while ago. Hero, in the meantime, taking all the bases on his side of the map. I kind of love it. I think he wants to power out more probes as well, though. If you're gonna get this many workers, or this many mineral lines rather, going, it's gonna be hard to win the game if you don't get more probes. Templar Archives coming up. Okay. Interesting step to go into Templar Archives right now. Mass Liberator is on the horizon. And Stalkers are decent. Archons are not bad. But I thought with the new patch that Protoss players would be favoring the Tempest micro. Maybe not. I mean, we've seen Protoss players like, for example, MaxPax micro their way out of this situation not too long ago. Also in the new balance patch. Certainly a lot of potential still in these very micro-heavy armies. It's just tricky, right? I guess the Tempest transition also just doesn't line up with this entire game plan. He was rushing out those upgrades really early. But yeah, now the Liberators are out in pretty big numbers, and now they're gonna get advanced ballistics too, so that's the additional range on those libs. And these choke points effectively become inaccessible. You can try, but it's gonna be hard. I mean, this is still a very scary and very large Protoss ball, though. Part of the Terran army, currently on the other side of the map. We are gonna recall a big chunk here as the Protoss as well. He's gonna target, oh my god, try and target fire down as many disruptors as possible. That was still a lot of bio units that ended up falling, but he did get some of the heavy hitters there from the Protoss. Hero's still making use of that warp gate that did not get spotted some time ago. The rest of the Terran army, by the way, going in for the counterattack again. Obviously, recall at this point is going to be on cooldown. Planetary Fortress here at the bottom of the map is going to get destroyed, but at the same time, the map mirroring this location on the other side of the map is also going to get sniped by the Terran. And at this point, there's no easy way for Hero to walk back home. I mean, he could certainly try and make that decision, but it would be very risky. There are so many command centers ready to replace the one that was just lost. Cool decision right here by ByuN, man. Lovely work. Still, yeah. Aggressive blink forward. Nice purification novas. Siege tanks getting picked off. Planetary Fortress is eventually gonna get some kills, I believe. Just a single one for now. I mean, Colossi are outranging it. Those Colossi are putting in a ton of work. Okay, in the meantime, the Terran army has advanced on over. Well, they've destroyed another base in their path, and now the natural expansion is not going to be too far behind either. It's been an uphill battle for a long time. It's been a very active game from the Protoss, though. ByuN decided to play this passively once again, but this time around from an advantage. I think ultimately, our Terran here will still inch out a victory. But this is closer than I really thought it was going to be. I mean, it's not over yet. Those Colossi, I mean, that's 5 of them. shooting their lasers continuously like that, there is so much potential still in that army. It's not like ByuN has an easy way of going back home either, right? So this might be a good opportunity to remind you that the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is to destroy all of your opponent's structures. Obviously, Terran structures, they can fly. So I really wouldn't mind seeing them just hanging out in the corner. Base in the top right-hand corner, however, got spotted here as well. ByuN is going to try and see if he can get rid of that Protoss economy, and only a handful of workers will remain after these units end up getting sniped. Command center over here does eventually scout the proxy warp gate that's been causing him so much trouble. Recall once again utilized, but this time around towards the top right-hand corner. The Colossi, no! The Colossi they get warped towards the... That was a dirty fight. Hold up, I gotta look at that again. Did we just see... How many Marauders was that? 6 Marauders win against 3 Colossi? I think so. Well, 2 Medevacs too. Medevacs mostly out of energy. Ay, 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 ay. Close your eyes, Protoss players. That was 2 Marauders for 3 Colossi. Not bad, eh? Golden Aura. Game number 4. Match point right here for ByuN. It's gonna be a Stargate opener for hero. Fair enough. And in the meantime, on the other side of the map, I'm gonna go for what seems to be a cheeky little Widowmine opener. Cheeky little Widowmine drop. More than likely. Game number 2 and 3 both went on for a little bit longer than I expected. But both of them ended in the way that they probably should have, right? Both players decided to, when they were ahead, just simply get more ahead rather than put all of their eggs in one basket and try to obtain the victory. It ended up working out quite well right there. And I think in favor of the players that, well, fought so hard for that advantage. The previous game, though, was a little bit cheeky, right? So ByuN sneaking out that command center early on over at the 3rd base location, building it on site as well. That's ultimately, though, what allowed him such a huge lead because hero misread the situation. Hero tried to, counter what seemed like a 2-base all-in, but what wasn't a 2-base all-in in the end. And to be fair, he did have sentries available, so he probably should have sent out another hallucinated scout just to go around all of the other locations where expansions could be, because obviously this time around we did see a base over at the top right, or, well, at the 3rd base location, but it could have been over in the top right. It could have been anywhere on the map. We don't see a lot of quick proxies like that in StarCraft 2 anymore, but it certainly is an option, and not something that ByuN would be shying away from if he believes it to be the best strategy. Anyways, Phoenix opener against a Widowmine drop. Technically speaking, he's got all of the tools at his disposal. ByuN does not know much about the Protoss. Protoss does know everything about ByuN. He knows the timing at which this medevac should show up, and there it is. This is gonna get shut down hard. How hard? This hard. Beautiful. That's what we want to see. And that's always the moment, right, where Protoss hold their breath for just a little bit, because those are the moments where you can accidentally lose a bunch of workers, and then the Terran's like, yo, I've got Stimpack, I've got combat shields, I've got +1 infantry weapons. Let me fire at you with the boys. And it's a dangerous moment. Instead, right now, this early game got shut down pretty hard, and ByuN is going to be forced to play a defensive game. There's a Banshee on the back of it, which is a little bit funky. Generally, we don't see Banshees here as a follow-up, but I honestly don't mind it. Yeah, try to get as much damage done as possible. There's certainly a chance that now these Phoenixes think that the coast is clear, that this Banshee isn't going to achieve much, and obviously ByuN didn't really know exactly what he was playing against. Very quick Colossus here on the back of it, together with a 3rd Nexus. Phoenixes trying to get some work in. 1 kill, 2 kills. Okay. This is also the moment, though, that the Banshee is going to hit on the other side of the map. 1 kill, 2 kills. It's such a cheeky move. Oh, no. Well, one of the Phoenixes almost ended up going down. Ay, 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 ay. ByuN is such a dirty boy sometimes, man. Coming in suddenly with a red... Like, the unit is already, for all intents and purposes, hard countered, right? That Banshee had no business killing 6 probes. But because hero thought there was no way, because that just doesn't make any sense, it worked. right? It's one of those anti-timings in StarCraft that we see all the time, where something that theoretically shouldn't work ends up working out quite nicely. Anyhow, third command center, done. Stimpeg, well, not done yet, but finishing up very soon. +1/+1 upgrades as well, researching inside of these engineering base. Charge on the back of it, +1 ground weapons on the back of it. I wouldn't mind seeing another forge, actually. I kind of like the double forge play. Maybe it doesn't line up so well in this particular early game of the Protoss, but that wouldn't be bad. This is a good start, though, for hero. Or at the very least, not one where he should feel like he's in a hurry to end this game. I think he's probably feeling pretty content with the way that this has been going. Putting in a little bit of work right there on that orbital command. It's gonna have to get repaired. Doesn't cost as much as building the structure, but still is gonna cost Mr. ByuN a little bit of money. Alright. The real game will continue in a minute or two from now, though. We're gonna see the dance. The Phoenix dance versus the Marines and the Marauders. Yeah, he's thinking that this is bait. So he's a little bit concerned. You know what? Those Phoenixes just got 9 kills. Not bad at all. Hello, guys. Please be careful. We've just seen what was it? 5 or 6 Marauders can do against 3 Colossi. I mean, the upgrades obviously are a little different here, but careful parking your expensive units in the middle of the map like that. ByuN at this point doesn't know. But he was a little bit concerned because he did not want to chase those Phoenixes as aggressively as he... Ooh, that's the Reaper, apparently. Did we accidentally make a Reaper? Interesting. I thought this was a Marine opener, actually, from ByuN. Anyhow. Apparently the Phoenixes have been tasked with clearing out that one annoying little critter. But eventually, it will get destroyed. ByuN, ready to go in for the attack. Right around the same time that hero is also ready to go in for the attack. I was gonna say, do we turn around or do we commit? He decides to go around. Or turn around, rather. Turn around. Yeah, that's what he decides to do. Couple Marines here trying to reinforce his army. Is there enough right now for the Terran to push all of these Protoss units back? Those Colossi need to be retargeted to the Marines, but that's exactly what ByuN anticipated as well. Leaving a little bit of space here for those Marauders to take as much damage as possible. The Colossi still putting in work. It's really just the Colossi and the Phoenixes. Now the Terran army is thinking about going in for a counterattack. The boost currently on cooldown. Do we have a Prism anywhere nearby? Yeah, I was gonna say that Prism is indeed gonna start reinforcing this army once again. Here comes the Terran counterattack. Is there enough for ByuN to force this Protoss army to come back home and to deal critical damage? Well, there we go. Once again, Colossi getting recalled. Is there enough here for the Protoss player to push this back? It looks like this time around there will be. Plus, quite a few Protoss units were still left behind too. Still 16 probes, 26 SCVs. Doesn't sound amazing right there for the Terran player, but obviously mules are nice. I think the real problem though is that he has been losing one too many of his troops. That's another medevac going down for certain. Sorry guys, was a one-way trip. Okay. And as the dust settles, hero finds himself in a wonderful position here. 74 workers, good upgrades, good units. Does he feel powerful enough to go in for the move? He did sneak in, by the way, the golden base as well in the bottom left-hand corner. So that's his 4th, and ByuN didn't know that that one was taken, which certainly makes the game a little bit easier. He still hasn't seen it. I think it's safe to assume, though, for ByuN right now that there is indeed a base out there somewhere. There's not really a whole lot he can do about it regardless. That's a lot of zealots, guys. Widow Mines can still change the tide of this battle. Obviously, the Widow Mines can also be dragged with those Phoenixes into the Marines and Marauders. Decent EMP over there, softening up a lot of these units. One Colossus, hello! Okay. Accidentally in the wrong place at the wrong time. Zealots over here trying to see if they can kill those SCVs. Big Widow Mine hits! Oh, massive Widow Mine hits. Here's the rest of those Widow Mines, though, trying to get some work in. Zealots are still alive, but only 3 SCVs ended up going down. This is why Protoss players are so hesitant to push into these Terran bases, even when you have an overwhelming advantage. Look at the value that ByuN is able to create. Only a handful of workers so far have gone down, and ByuN is holding on. It's very tempting to just press the well, F2 attack move button and send everything into the base. And maybe that's what hero is going to do here. But he's done it many times before and it's backfired. So he doesn't really want to take any chances. Okay. Zealots are sacrificing themselves for ire, trying to get rid of as many of these mines as possible. Those force fields are helping out the Terran more than they're helping out the Protoss, it seems. But reinforcing units here are, yeah, being sliced off. And now the Zealots are in the main base. Nice boost there as well, though, by the Medivacs, loading up some units, trying to get rid of those Zealots. And once again, ByuN manages to get it done. Does hero decide to pull the trigger now? Well, that's another EMP. Softening up one of those Protoss heavy hitters, and that Disruptor got destroyed in a moment. SCVs pulled away from the mineral line, and I believe this is going to be the final battle. There we go. Phoenix is getting as much damage done as possible. The Warp Prism is still available. Hero can soon get some more units going. That's 22 additional SCVs down the drain. 5th Nexus in the meantime, building at home. I think we are going to the final game. I mean, he can push this back. Really? Are we gonna walk back now? Hero doesn't want to take any chances, man. I think every Protoss player at this level has accidentally lost the game from this position one too many times that they're just playing it so cautiously. They just don't want to take any chances. Yeah, they're walking barefoot on like very hot coals, you know. They don't really want to take any more risk than they absolutely need to. So tiptoeing is apparently the way to do it. Rushing across may seem like the right choice, but it can backfire so easily, man, especially when that's now the second Colossus that gets misrallied. ByuN is not gonna go down without a fight. A lot of Terran players would have already GG'd out by now, but ByuN is very well known to have an insane fighting spirit. He's not going to give this one up easily, but he must realize as well that at this point, I mean, he hasn't seen this side of the Protoss in ages. He doesn't still know about the gold base. He had no idea, even though it's already mining out. He doesn't have any transitions on the horizon either. He's basically just doing more of the same, trying to see if maybe he could catch his opponent in another mistake. That's another Colossus, man, coming in from that angle. I really don't like this rallying, but in the end, hero simply has the numbers. And while that wasn't the cleanest ending of a match, it does mean that we are going to game number 5. And that game will take place on the map Solaris. Now, I've been fast forwarding through the first couple minutes of the game, but not for this one, because hero, right at the very start, decides to send out a probe. Could just be for scouting. Okay, it's not. What are we doing? Are we gonna build the gateway on the other side? That's so pointless. I mean, it looks nice, don't get me wrong. I don't think, yeah, apparently it fits. I don't think this benefits the gateway nor the pylon, but it's something hero found out about, and I think he's feeling really proud. Yeah. Round of applause, please, for Mr. Hero. Cute little move. Here, I have a clap button. I have a soundboard. Well done, hero. Well done. That's my streaming soundboard. Anyways, it's a cute little play. I don't think it's particularly great for anything, but it looks nice. I mean, actually, you know what? Scratch that. It's actually the fastest way, I guess, to get a most aggressively positioned gateway. Although he could have probably boosted the probe over here and just build it over there and then, yeah, no, it really doesn't achieve. Anyways, doesn't matter. It looked cool. And stall points need to be given sometimes. Okay, so this has been a very competitive series so far, though. Both of these guys definitely very evenly matched. I think overall, I have been more impressed by the way that hero has been playing this series. This seems like a very risky strategy that can backfire so easily, right? So, yeah, ByuN has decided to not really take any chances when it comes to his command centers, and he's once again just building a second base inside of the main. I think that's an excellent choice. I know a lot of Terran players are allergic to this. They get like a rash whenever they have to make their command center in the main base, and it feels nasty, and it doesn't feel like the right move, and yada, yada, yada. But I really think he should be doing this in almost every single one of your ladder games. There's just so many times where that Zealot on the low ground hits your side of the map and it's just a bit of a disaster. It feels bad when you make the orbital and then you have to fly it to the low ground, or you fly to the low ground and you have to make the orbital. The flight of shame, it feels painful, but I really don't think it's a bad idea. If ByuN can justify doing it, you can justify doing it too. Anyways, this Reaper over here, yeah, putting in a lot of work. There's a Stalker in the meantime on the other side of the map as well, joining that Zealot. Reaper's gonna have to come back home. Only 2 probes here in the end. Marines are gonna be available very soon. Nice little bit of repair micro right here by the South Korean Terran. Okay, he does keep most of this all alive. Nice little bit of micro there. ByuN is so good at controlling his troops, man. Okay, Reaper, it was thinking about going back home, but I guess the Marines are ultimately the main focus here. Imagine if this command center was on the low ground. It would have been a disaster. Anyways, still not a terrible situation here for hero, though. He made a shield battery over here in the main base right now. Twilight Council on the back of this. This is not a triple gateway start like what we saw in one of the previous games. Instead, it's eventually gonna be, you know, at least 3 gateways, but we're gonna get a Twilight Council upgrade before really committing to the unit production. Love that shade on the Adept as well, right? Cute little move. So right now he doesn't have high ground vision, but as soon as you shade the Adept forward, you get some high ground vision. You have to just cancel the shade so it doesn't die. In the meantime, the Zealot over here, okay, was tasked with, for some reason the Zealot was tasked with killing this. I guess it's gonna try and run to the safety right here of that shield battery, and it will. There's the blink upgrade being chronoed out. When are we gonna try and secure the low ground, ByuN? I think right about right now would not be a bad time for it. Yeah, orbital command is done. We're getting some production going. I mean, he needs to be careful. He doesn't really know exactly what's going on, but he has scouted on the other side of the map. So he must realize that Protoss is not gonna hit him in the neck just yet. So there we go. You could wait until the siege tank is out, but can feel a little bit late. Widow Mine. Getting the Widow Mine would be huge. Ooh, Widow Mine does not go down, but it did turn me into Goofy for just a little bit. Ooh, something like that. I think it's Goofy anyways. Yeah. Maybe waiting for the siege tank was the right call. Bunker is gonna get salvaged. 75 minerals back. Only 25 lost. And the hero Zealot. This guy has already walked like 10 kilometers at this point. He's once again gonna join the front line. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets sacrificed to the Widow Mine. After all of that, yeah. God, that's so sad, man. That was the first Protoss unit. I know he didn't have a lot of value, but he meant something to me. Please pay your respects to Zachary the Zealot in the comment section of this video. That guy walked back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and then eventually got to sacrifice himself to a Widow Mine. God, siege tank over here, exposed, and it is gonna get shut down. This command center on the low ground is never gonna happen at this rate, ByuN. Nice control right here by hero. Command center actually is starting to burn. Gotta be very cautious here. Yeah, hero most definitely has made a note of that. That gateway here, still helpful. Apparently one Stalker is staring at the rocks. Might want to send that one across. Anyways, Prism also coming up if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there it is. War Prism is gonna help out quite a bit. ByuN now once again hitting a supply block. Second supply block, probably on purpose. Hard to say honestly, but he does have those supply depots with hats over here that he can drop out of the high heavens. Okay. The thing is, hero is not just done here with the Stalker aggression. Now with the Prism here, sure, the natural may be taken, but this is almost what hero wants to see happen. Now that the low ground is taken, it means that all of these units are over here, and that means that the main base is exposed. ByuN has not seen the robo transition or anything like that, so these Stalkers are gonna appear in the main base, completely unscouted. There is a second siege tank that just popped out, and it does look like it manages to get out on the right side of this, well, set of structures. That actually works out quite decently well. That tech lab over there, very exposed. Yeah. Stalkers in the meantime, we're gonna start doubling the aggression up here. Very risky move. ByuN wants to inch it closer to that tech lab to try and see if he can save it. Because Stimpack would be very nice to have. Blink aggressive forward right there. At the same time we had some of the Stalkers apparently try to blink as well towards this direction. Probably a little bit of a hotkey mistake right there by hero, but he ended up getting the siege tank, and now he's getting a whole load of SCVs here on the low ground too. That was at least 3 Stalkers going down unnecessarily though. Yeah, when you try to micro multiple areas at once, it's so tricky, especially with Blink Stalkers and Prisms and all that. Much easier if you can control all of your units in one big ball, and even then it's still hard. Anyways, this is looking a little bit dangerous right now, though. Second siege tank once again available. Nice pickup micro right there by hero. One tank ends up going down. That observer over here sees everything. 4 more stalkers are coming up. The command center. I mean, we saw that one burning already. Command center is not going to be the main target for a little bit. At the very least, as another siege tank gets sniped. Stimpec is going to finish up in about 10-15 seconds from now, maybe 20, but are there still going to be any bio units remaining at that point as that upgrade finishes up? Because so many of these units are already low in hit points, and there we go, an aggressive blink forward right there by hero. And in the end, it's gonna be our Protoss player who obtains the victory in a beautiful game of Terran versus Protoss. I just realized that apparently I forgot setting the scoreboard right here at the very end, but it was 2-2. I'm sure you remembered. Now, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. It really does help. And for now, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again tomorrow for another video.